Hello, and we're live. And I am here to do two things: test out the live feature to invite someone, and also to have a little chat with author Steve Shipley, who is writing a crime novel. So let me just see if I can get him to join us. And I'm just messaging him to let him know that I'm live, and hopefully he'll hop on in a minute or two. And let's see. Hopefully he will show up in my live feed fairly soon. And yes, there he is. Okay, I'm gonna invite him and hoping. Hello. Hi.
Hey, hi there.
So, everyone, this is Steve Shipley. If you have not met him before, Steve is a crime thriller author, and he is just writing his debut novel, even though he's written other books in the past. So, hello, Steve. Why don't
Hi,
you tell
how are
us a
you?
little bit about
You look
yourself?
glamour. You look glamorous as usual.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay,
Um, Hopefully other people can hear you and hear me, and if you can or you can't, just leave us a comment, let us know, and we'll hopefully try to fix that.
sure. By the way, I do want to mention I've been coerced into this as a practice session, but I think it'll be great learning for everyone, mostly myself. One thing I've noticed about TikTok is a lot of people are doing this. So,
I did that too in my first live.
yeah. Anyway, should we get going?
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your writing journey, and maybe a bit about your book? You've got a little elevator pitch.
Sure. Look, first of all, I have not written for a long time, certainly not fiction. My background is in math and computer science. I've been a corporate consultant, and I started a blog post about wine maybe 10 years ago because I love wine. I live in the Hunter Valley, close by you, and I started a blog, and pretty soon I had a couple hundred blog posts, and I was going to start another blog post, and all of a sudden it turned into a five-part blog post, and then it turned into a book. So I have written and published a book with my publishing company, Inkit Publishing, called Wine Sense. Sold really well for the first couple of years, but that was 8 years ago to about 6 years ago, and I haven't really promoted it ever since. I do write nonfiction. Um, I do write, nonfiction for an IT research company, International Data Corporation, and uh, that makes me write about probably 10 to 15,000 words every month. But about a month ago, I was at a conference, a writers' conference, and I had a
Was it a month
spark of.
ago? I thought you've been working on this book for a while.
I'm sorry, did I say a month? I meant a year ago. Yeah,
Yes.
it was about a year ago, and I had a spark of an idea and some encouragement from a couple of other romantic suspense and crime fiction writers. And so I just started writing, and I fell in love with the process. And I wrote 100,000 words in about 5 months, finished a draft. I've now gone through sharing the book publicly with about seven beta readers. Got great feedback. The experience was really good. And then I sent it off to developmental editing with a real professional editor in the UK. Got great feedback from her, plus some challenging things, which is, scrap your darlings and scrap the first eight chapters. I didn't really get invested until the caretaker was murdered at the end of chapter eight. So I'm just rewriting that now before it gets turned over to line editing, and we'll be doing a cover reveal next month.
Okay, so tell me, what have you loved the most about the writing process?
Uh, well, first of all, compared to nonfiction, you can make things up and be a little bit sensational in that. The other thing that I really enjoy is writing is a mystery. Coming up with a basic concept was pretty easy. Figuring out the opening and figuring out the ending was fairly easy. But then determining how you got from the beginning to the end was just really fascinating. And it was like solving a mystery myself in terms of how I wanted to present that actually to the audience to make sure to bring them along, keep them excited, keep them thrilled without giving away all the clues as to who done it, why he done it, and that type of thing. So I just really enjoyed the problem solving of the writing process.
Okay, I've got some comments here. Bad Bleep Shorty says, "Can you say hi, Charlotte, please?" Hi, Charlotte. How are you? And maybe Steve would like to say hi to Charlotte too.
Hey, Charlotte, good to meet you.
And Marie says, "Yes, definitely." Her writers group has mentioned that scrapping the first chapter is useful advice. So, yeah, that's kind of hard to do, though, isn't it? Like when you feel so invested in your characters.
Yes, and I must admit that my main character is built around part of what I did in the corporate world. Having sat in the boardroom to see how decisions were made, not always with the best interest of shareholders or customers in mind, and then the geopolitical aspects of why companies made decisions and sometimes go a bit rogue. Uh, Look, I had some things I wanted to share. I thought interesting, but if they don't progress the story, they should be cut. And fortunately, what I'm doing is using some of that stuff for backstory and reader magnets and things like that. I've started writing my second book to follow on from False Trust. It's called False Start. And one of the things that I've really found challenging is how do you get that first chapter in the second book to connect it to the first book? Um, because some people will have read the first book, hopefully a lot. Some will have not. They'll have just found and thought, oh, this will be an interesting read for the second book. So what they do is they start reading that. You have to give them enough as to what happened, what some of the key characters did, and why. And I found that really challenging to fit all that in quite concisely. So I spent a couple of weeks doing that, but I think I've got that set up now to get a good start to the second book.
Good. Hey, Charlotte, thank you so much for the likes. Wow, 200 likes. If anybody would like to send us likes or leave a comment or follow us, you do that. We will be happy to
I'm
have you
sorry, you
be
have
part
200
of us.
likes on this go live already.
Charlotte was very generous with her likes, yes. And Marie said she started at the third chapter, but it was hard. Yeah, and I think Steve mentioned earlier that it was even harder for him because you had to scrap the first 8 chapters. Is that right, Steve?
I'm doing that now. I'm rewriting the first 8 chapters into one, figuring what I'm going to be pulling out for reader magnets or as backstory in the second book. And also, as the plot comes to life in the current manuscript, I'll be, working in some of the questions that the police ask my protagonist or my hero to work that in. So a lot of cutting and pasting and a lot of reduction of 8 chapters into one, with little bits of it going into a few other chapters.
Okay, now I've got a fun question for you. Obviously, you have had to do a lot of research. Oh, Charlotte asks, what are we talking about? Okay, Charlotte, we're talking about a book that Steve is writing. Steve is a crime thriller author, and he is writing and about to publish his first book, called, what's it called?
False trust.
False Trust. And so that's what we're talking about. But anyway, um, let's see. Rach, is that you, Rach? I'm not sure if that's your name. Hello, Rach. Thank you for joining us. Um, we'll definitely share the book, Charlotte, when it comes out. Um,
But
okay, so
one thing I could suggest is that if they go to my website, steveshipley.com, uh, I've produced 4 video trailers which explain a little bit about the book. Plus, there's a landing page for False Trust, a little bit more about myself in terms of a biography. So, steveshipley.com, you can certainly find out more about the book there.
wonderful. That's a really good little plug there. You've done that.
Yes.
Well done.
Well, that's the reason we're doing this, right? And making
Well,
this
yeah,
investment.
but you're kind of like the first author I've ever interviewed after my first two rather stumbling attempts at
I had a
memoir.
chance to review that. And like I said, I think it'll make a great blooper
Oh yeah, I
video.
might cut that out and see if I can post that on its own. Um, so I think Jacob joined us. So hello, Jacob. I think it's Jacob. I don't know if he's still there. But anyway, so I have two questions. I'll start with one one question, one of the questions, which is, so obviously writing a crime thriller, you've had to do a lot of research. Yes?
Yes.
What was the most bizarre or interesting thing that happened to you while doing research? And I'm not talking about, like, you're Googling something, but, if you've actually done real live research.
uh, Look, there's a couple of things. First of all, I have about 60 different research topics, from helicopters to yachts to bodyguard, VIP protection, security cards, to the guns that people use. And, I've never fired a gun in my life. So I had to figure out, did a lot of research around what members of the Secret Service use and things like that. In terms of physical research, the book takes place starting with barley and growing whiskey in Scotland over 125 years ago. Then it goes to the Midwest and farming country, but then it quickly comes to Australia, where they set up their business in Sydney. And then, because of some things that have happened, bad things that have happened, my hero and his wife moved to Hobart. And I had never visited Hobart before, but a good half, maybe 60% of the book takes place in Hobart. So I wanted to visit Hobart, spent a week down there traveling around. I actually was able to interview with the police in Hobart. They were very kind. I sent them off an email. They called me back. They said, yeah, when you come down and visit. So I spent an hour talking with the police, asking them questions and getting some great insights. But I really wanted to see where I thought, the book involves the theft of a 60-year-old whiskey. And I wanted to see and really plot out how this was stolen from my hero's shed and made its way onto a ship in that. So I had selected a place called Boomer Bay, I thought was pretty close by, where they would take the stolen whiskey. And I really wanted to see what was happening there. So I was kind of stupid. I just had
Oh, when
a
you're
mid.
being stupid, those are the best stories.
I had a mid-sized sedan instead of an SUV, and I started driving and wanted to get a real close-up look as to where the whiskey would have been loaded, and this little 1 meter to 2 meter passageway to see if, in fact, a good-sized motorboat could actually get through that. And anyway, I got stuck in the sand. So I was going to do some whiskey tasting later that afternoon, but it took me 2 hours to get out of the sand and have the rental car company come and pull me out. Fortunately, they knew what they were doing, and I can look back out and laugh now, but I was kind of pissed off at the time.
So you got stuck and you had to call for help and got towed out.
Correct. Fortunately, it wasn't too remote that I had cellular service.
And how did that help your research? As in, like, oh, you can't actually do this because you don't have access, or did you have to rewrite something because of it?
No, actually, it it didn't help my research at all. And look it on Google in terms of the depth. It's amazing what you can find on the internet. And anyway, after that, excuse me, I ended up talking to a couple of people who live on a yacht around that area and have been through that passageway with their yacht and a boat bigger than the one I was using to transfer the stolen whiskey. And they were able to answer all my questions with me. So I should have just gone to a whiskey tasting that afternoon, and I could have researched Tasmanian whiskeys instead.
Wow. Okay, that's actually quite a story. Um, so I'm not quite sure how long we've been live. I'm looking up at my computer and I can't tell. Anyway, I have no idea. So I was just wondering if you had anything else you might want to leave us with, and if not, we might just end it pretty soon.
Sure. Look, I think research is really, really important, and it's taken a lot more time than I thought it would. Unfortunately, a number of my beta readers, and I've put together a list of experts in different areas around, uh, long-term sedation, guns and knives, and people who have worked for the Secret Service and the FBI. But it's really, really important to get a list of experts that you can call upon. And they've saved me from making what would have been some otherwise obvious mistakes for a first time novelist. I understand the way that boards work, I understand the way that corporate fraud works, I understand cybersecurity in that. But unlike a lot of these crime thriller writers, I'm not ex Navy SEAL or FBI or one of those tough alpha male type of things. I'm alpha male in the corporate boardroom, but otherwise I'm pretty much what would you call it, beta male or maybe even gamma male or delta male type of thing. But the research was just really, really important, and I'd encourage any authors to make sure you've got a list of experts and a list of people you can go to. If you take a chance, you're going to get caught out, and people don't like being caught out, or you know they don't like it if you haven't provided a plausible story.
Oh yes, and readers can be so sharp, in terms of catching things that don't make sense. Um, so one one if you could say one thing to an aspiring writer, what would it be? From everything that you've learned, what is one thing you would say to them?
If you I think writers fall into two categories, and I've been reading a lot of books on writing craft and also a lot of books on the writing business. There's a big difference between publishing a book like I did Wine Sense and getting it out there, and actually being a regular published author and trying to make even a part-time living on that. And I think the big difference between when I wrote Wine Sense and another nonfiction book on personal financial management is I was still splitting my time way too much to the corporate consulting world in that. And I just didn't put in the hours I need to. But if you really want to be a published author and make a decent part-time living on it, let alone a full-time living, you need to make that your number one priority. There's just so much to do. The other thing to help with that is I have a small team now of people like yourself and a few others that I can really call on. Like the guy who built my website did a great job. Didn't cost a lot of money. I learned a lot from him, so I'm able to maintain it. Uh, the lady doing my editing and the lady doing the book cover design. You just have to find the right team and, 3, 4, 5 people you can really count on. It takes a lot of personal pressure off of trying to do everything because there is a lot to do, especially to get that first book launched. I had to learn MailChimp. I had to learn book funnel. I had to learn web design. I had to learn TikTok. I do have a TikTok handle, Steve Shipley author, which you can check out some of the videos to get to know me more. And I'm almost at 900 followers, and I'd love to get to 1,000 so I can start to host these type of live sessions myself. And then maybe I'll interview you and return, Deanna.
I don't have any exciting research stories about getting stuck in the sand to tell you. But yeah, that's certainly very interesting and good advice. Okay, so we're just gonna go here and thank you everyone who joined us and stayed for as long as you did. Be sure to remember to follow me, Deanna's World 163, and Steve Shipley at Steve Shipley Author, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah,
Bye.
just one more thing, a little plug. You can read Wine Sense for free on Kindle Unlimited. And if you want to learn more about drinking wine and how to appreciate it more, uh, before False Trust is released in early August, this will give you a chance to understand my love of wine.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.